The concept of different dimensions for design knowledge was presented by Shon and Wiggins in a paper titled Kinds of Seeing and Their Functions in Designing. The authors demonstrate a dimensionality to design knowledge, where the designer registers information to various different dimensions necessary for the development of a detailed design. The authors outline 12 domains to which design information may register. These include building elements, site, and building character. However, most are specific to the study of architecture. Our research aims to understand the relationships between prototyping methods and their contribution to design knowledge. So with this idea of dimensions in mind, we decided to see if the same kind of thing could be applied to engineering design. We identified 10 different dimensions for knowledge when prototyping. Some were adapted from prior works and some new and specific to engineering design. A full list of dimensions and definitions is given in the paper, but to give an example, generating knowledge in the dimension of manufacture would encompass how something is made, knowledge of the processes, the tools, and how best to use them. To avoid confusion with the domains of Shon and Wiggins, we identify these as dimensions for knowledge. We recruited 6 researchers from the Department of Mechanical Engineering with relative expertise in the prototyping process. The participants were all briefed using an example consumer cordless drill and the briefing materials made available throughout the study. Participants were then given a rating sheet with 90 different prototyping methods, against which their perception of the knowledge contribution to each of the 10 dimensions was scored on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being little to no information and 5 being lots of information in that dimension. Prototyping methods were additionally grouped into high and low fidelity, physical and digital, and created over 5,000 data points for analysis. The first of the results shows indication that the different methods are at least perceived to contribute better to different dimensions of knowledge, with form being shown to rank highly across methods and methods contributing to life cycle ranking the lowest. Another interesting result is the interdependence shown in the pairwise graph. And what this suggests is that one cannot be present without the other, in this case requiring knowledge of design elements to learn about character or vice versa. We also find high fidelity methods to produce more information in general, and that at low fidelity you get the same level of information from both physical and digital methods. This suggests an element of fungibility between physical and digital mediums in the earlier stages of design, where dimension-specific information may be less significant. To demonstrate an application of this work, we pull from the sample study the top 3 prototyping methods for learning in each of the dimensions. This would imply that if designers want information in a specific dimension, they could look at a list such as this one to better support their method selection process. Although many more findings are reported in the paper, some of the key points are summarized here on this page. We find that methods do contribute differently to different dimensions, and that fidelity has an impact on the quality of knowledge generated. So some of the uses for this work include method combinations and identifying combinations of methods that allow you to generate more complete knowledge across all of these dimensions. This also would enable efficient hybrid prototyping practices, knowing which methods best to combine when you need to understand a certain thing about a prototype. The second point being prototype development, where you can monitor a prototype through evaluation across dimensions to assess its level of readiness. And the third point being cognitive prototyping models, where there could be frameworks for better understanding design cognition with applications in design computing and AI. Finally, our future works, we're working on a larger validation study following on from this paper, where we aim to support the findings presented here. And we're also working on additional bits of work to do with knowledge dimensions in looking at structures that are implicit in knowledge generation through the lens of knowledge dimensions, and if we can identify a pattern or structure to the way people generate knowledge in the prototyping process. Thank you for listening to this presentation.